G'day legends, I hope that you're all doing well. Now, I have scans later on this evening. Well, at least the results of the scans I got last week on my brain tumor. So I'll actually have an update for you tomorrow. Now, with my brain tumor, we don't know, it could be fine. Most likely this scan's probably going to show maybe some slight growth or it'll be fine. But, these tumors can go 0 to 100, so you never really know. So a little bit of nervousness for that, but excited to share results with you guys, as I know as well, in about 5 or 6 hours. But before we have a look at the maps, let's talk about some news and what's going on in Ukraine. Now, yesterday I spoke on the removal of tariffs on Ukrainian grain, that it's having an impact, that's threatening agricultural industry in Hungary and Poland, or at least as they claim. Hungary and Poland have looked to ban Ukrainian grain in a move they say is necessary to protect their farming sectors from cheap imports. This comes as complaints from local farmers who say that they are being undercut by cheaper Ukrainian grain flooding their markets. Well, today, the EU has rejected these bans, saying it's not up to individual member states to make trade policy. Now, I can see both sides of the argument, and anywhere there is an opportunity to make a little bit of money, people will take advantage of the situation. And it doesn't matter what side of it that you actually agree with on this. People will always take advantage and will want more. In what people are saying is a big Easter prisoner exchange. Approximately 130 Ukrainian prisoners of war have been returned from Russian captivity. Seemingly, this video comes from Prigozhin, the leader of Wagner Group, addressing the Wagner soldiers to release these prisoners on Easter. Now, it's unknown how many Russians were returned in the exchange, but this is the second largest prisoner exchange in a week. Last Monday, which is April 10th, there was another major swap with 106 Russian prisoners being freed in exchange for 100 Ukrainian prisoners. These returns are commonplace. We see them, throughout the war, but we have also seen mistreatment and even execution of POWs occurring from both sides throughout this war, with infamously the recent beheadings from the Russian forces. Now, a Spanish newspaper has asked Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov about military casualties, and his reply was, "We have casualties, of course, because we're at war, but they are critically smaller than the Russian ones. I cannot give you the figure, but I can assure you that the total number is lower than the death toll from the earthquake in Turkey." Now, the current Turkey death toll is 50,500. He continues, "Russia uses them as cannon fodder. It's the meat grinder tactic. They do not care. Only in Bakhmut every day, Russia loses 500 men, between dead and wounded. This is 1 battalion every 24 hours, members of the Wagner Group, mercenaries, ex-criminals. It is barbarity." This comes after the top-secret US document leaks saying that Ukraine has lost an estimated 16 to 7,500 killed in action, and Russia between 35 and 43,500 KIA, while the Ukrainian MOD figures claim that there's been over 182,000 Russians killed. Now, we would expect Russia's casualties to be significantly higher, as so far in the war they have mostly been on the offensive. That said, I expect these figures, which are being celebrated by each side, to skyrocket in the coming months as the ground hardens. New offensives will take place with more lethal weapons being introduced and more troops entering the battlefield. Now, interestingly, in this interview, that it's a Spanish paper and I had it translated across, Alexei again states rockets have fallen in Poland, which we reported on a few months ago as this was likely, almost definitely, a Ukrainian air defense missile that killed 2 Poles. Now, the investigation has gone quiet, with really only saying Russian produced. Well, most equipment in this war is Russian produced, it being an S-300 missile, which is a Soviet-Russian system. And Zelensky, from the moment of impact, claimed this was Russian fired, in what many will say was an attempt to invoke NATO. But that said, I think the silence from NATO following the initial statements from Biden that it was unlikely, and from the NATO secretary showing no indication that it was Russian fired, I think the silence tells the truth of this. Now, of course, this missile was more than likely not purposely fired from Ukraine into Poland, although pro-Russian accounts will claim it was an attempt at a false flag event. And you could claim that Russia is responsible because it never would have been fired if not for their invasion. At the end of the day, the fact of whose missile actually was it that hit that area and killed 2 people, well, I think we know the answer to that, but it hasn't been reported in that way. Let's have a look at the maps. And of course, we have Ukraine center, the capital of Kyiv, red, area occupied since 22, purple since 14, green, liberated by Ukraine since the invasion. Of course, we've got Romania, Poland, Belarus, and Russia around here. Now, I always forget Moldova in here and Hungary here as well, Slovakia. I always leave you guys out. I apologize. This is Crimea and Donetsk here. So we're going to go into Bakhmut and see on the 17th of April what changes we have seen. So yesterday was the 16th, and the 17th, all we've seen is a shift on the southeastern side here of the front. But they're still, say, a few blocks away from the train line on this southern edge, but have pushed up over the last 24 hours, closing up that front line more and making it a shorter front line, at least according to Deep State. Now, if we have a look at the ISW map, this is showing no different to yesterday. So this is yesterday's map that I have, and today's, which is, say, a block back from the train line, is showing the exact same as the Deep State all the way up through here, and is showing just past the train line in the north. So it is showing a very similar picture to the Deep State, except Deep State will show, ISW show that they are past the train line in the north, but those are minimal gains. Now, about Bakhmut, Ukraine's Eastern Military Command has said this: bloody battles unprecedented in recent decades are taking place in the middle of the city's urban area. Our soldiers are doing everything in bloody and fierce battles to grind down combat capability and break its morale. Every day, in every corner of the city, they are successfully doing so. As we see that Wagner Group and the VDV now in this area are taking more and more, small bits of ground every day. Now, Russian Defense Ministry has said the Wagner units have taken 2 areas in the north and southern areas of the city, which we haven't seen on this map. But the Russian Army paratrooper units, being the VDV, were supporting claimed advances by holding Ukrainian forces on the flanks. Now, when we talk about the VDV, let's have a talk about some command changes here. So, from the British MOD update for the 16th, which is the most recent one available, General Colonel Mikhail Teplinsky, commander of Russia's Corps of Airborne Forces, the VDV, has highly likely returned to a major role in Ukraine. He was previously dismissed from the theatre in January 2023. Teplinsky is likely one of the few senior Russian generals widely respected by the rank and file. His recent turbulent career suggests intense tensions between fractions within the Russian general staff about Russia's military approach in Ukraine. It is unlikely Teplinsky's remit will be limited to VDV units, but he is highly likely to promote the Corps' traditional role as an elite force. In recent days, the VDV have resumed a key mission in the battle for Bakhmut and likely undertaken the novel integration with TOS-1 Alpha, that's being the flamethrower, thermobaric rocket launchers in the Kremenar sector. And we do have good information that the VDV are on the flanks, although we don't have any definite proof of that. Now, up in the front line, I've looked bloody everywhere, and we haven't seen any other move. So we'll just talk about Bakhmut for one more second. It's the only place we've really seen anything happening. So online, the Azov South have shared this video saying we're talking about non-stop reinforcements, hashtag Bakhmut, and we see this video shared along with it. Now, I haven't had this video geolocated, but we see a number of tanks, at least 6, 7 in front of here, 8, 9, maybe, let's say 10 tanks rolling into Bakhmut down this muddy road. And if this video is showing what it is saying, it is showing an amount of armor moving into Bakhmut. And this has been one of the claimed things about Bakhmut, of why there hasn't been a withdrawal, is how much equipment is stuck in Bakhmut from Ukraine that they can't remove. Or is it, as they say, just grinding down the Russian forces, really limiting Russia's ability to continue on an offensive, where Russia will say the same thing about Bakhmut, that they're grinding Ukrainian forces and will at least hinder Ukraine's ability to have an offensive. We don't really know. Now, just as I opened that, I saw that I do have one more map for you from WarMapper. So let's compare WarMapper's one of Bakhmut, if I can bloody move it, compared to Deep State. So this is the train line down here. This is the train line here. So it is showing in the center the Wagner Group have moved to the east side, so the west of the train line, but at least in the north and south are not up to the train line. Now, the south, that Deep State will say that they're down on this road here, and in the north, Deep State will say that they're along this. This is showing similar-ish along the train line as Deep State, but in the south is not showing where Deep State say Russia has pushed into these blocks here. It is not showing that. So it is definitely more conservative towards Russian gains, but we don't know. As I always say, you need to take, all the maps and sort of combine them together and get it. So I sadly don't actually have a Russian sources map for you today. But Legends, I know this one's probably been a little bit over the place, but that's it for today. I hope you're looking after yourself, having a great day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow with results. So if you want to support me, there's links down below, but never feel obliged. So look after yourselves, and I'll see you. Okay, bye-bye.